Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 239 of Your Take Two podcast, the one that's got your hat. Um, did you
Sorry.
see that dumb shit this week, Brian?
What was that from? What was it from?
The Logan Paul, Jake Paul, one of those Pauls, him and Floyd Mayweather are supposed to be fighting.
Yeah, I didn't see
And
the
they were
hat
doing
part
this
though.
whole thing where they were like getting in each other's face or whatever, and then he
Yeah.
grabbed his hat and he said, "Got your hat," and he ran away.
Oh,
I was like, that is the most childish thing I've ever seen in my
be the
life. But
first time I cheer for Mayweather.
yes, 100%. Hopefully knocks that hat right off of his head. Anyways, this is a movie and TV show. Welcome, folks. My name is Tony. This is Brian. We are here for episode 239.
Wow.
Almost 5 years. You know, we're getting close to that 5-year mark. That's crazy to me that we've been doing this and we have not missed a week yet. And that's amazing. And
Yeah.
just like every other week, we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Every week we have reviews. This week we got Mitchell's versus the Machines. We watched all of Jupiter's Legacy. I got a true crime corner with Sons of Sam. Watched another new release called Monster on Netflix, and we got a first take on Bad Batch, the latest Star Wars show on Disney Plus. So a lot of stuff to talk about. Anything else you want to mention here, Brian? Before we
No,
get going?
and to our listeners, some folks recently I was talking to some folks at work and they're like, "Hey, so what do you guys cover?" Type thing. That's it right there, folks. You have a movie, you have a series, you have a documentary, and then you have a first take on something else. You know, we kind of give you the entire gambit, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. Another thing down there we'll throw in the show notes. If that's something you're not interested in, you can fast forward along. We don't mind that at all. Folks, if you're on YouTube watching, you might see a little something different. And for you listeners, you might hear different. I'm over at mom and dad's having some work done on the house, so the electric's turned off. So, hey, show must go on. I'm sitting outside on the deck. It's a little brisk, not going to lie, a little brisk. But, hey, we need a 239 to happen.
I kind of like it though. It's kind of like soothing to my ear. I'm hearing like the little birds chirping in the background. So if I nod off at some point, that's why.
So, golf course is right here. You might hear some shots made or profanity
I hope a
yelled.
ball just flies by.
A ball goes ding, 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 ding. Yes, that would be good. That would be good stuff. 239, we are loaded, folks. Thank you for joining the Take Two Podcast. Hit us up on all the socials. You can follow us on Facebook. We also have a regular page, Take Two Podcast, but then Take Two Universe, that's the interactive fan page. You have to join that group. That one's a lot of fun. Twitter, Instagram, follow along at Take Two Podcast. Join those as well. Lots of interaction. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Don't forget, you can give us a call or shoot a text message, 434-602-1931. Thank you guys for signing up. Patreon members, you got a brand new Patreon that's in your feed right now. If you're not a Patreon member, we're sorry. Here's what you're missing right now. The best songs from 80s movies. We both gave our top 10 most iconic songs that came from a movie that came out in the 1980s. And sure, you might be able to guess a couple that we went with, but then you guarantee you're not going to guess all of them because we went a little off the path with some of our song choices. The only way to find out is join patreon.com, Take Two Podcast. It's $1 a month. Don't believe me. Kevin, Vaughn, Chris, Ryan, Roy, Craig, Katz, Lisa, and Gerald. They already know. Ask them, and you guys can enjoy a lot more content from us on patreon.com.
Yeah, that was a really fun one, and we've got another one coming, which is going to be similar, but we're going to move ahead in time, so look forward to that one. And yeah, thank you for the interaction this week. We'll get to that a little bit later about who specifically reached out, but voicemails and text messages this week, which was awesome. And I just want to shout out first that we did forget a huge song. And I think you're going to talk about that maybe at some point with the voicemail that we got and maybe releasing that online. But one huge glaring error for our 80s songs that I want to recognize up front, Karate Kid. You're the best around.
That is valid.
How did we skip that? How did we skip
skip
that?
it. I don't know.
I apologize to listener Craig, who pointed that out for us. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, listener Craig, for pointing out our flaws. All right, guys, we're going to get rocking and rolling into the show. If you want to go back into the feed, you're a brand new listener. We have a Take Two Spotlight that drops every other week. We just dropped one last week on Octavia Spencer. It was actually a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of good knowledge in there. Go back and check that out as well. But for today, let's get rocking into those poll results.
Yeah, and speaking of Octavia, that we're going to talk about that later, too, because that came up in a text message. So, yeah, I love the interaction from our fans. Thank you very much. But anyways, the poll every week, every Thursday, I'm going to put something up for you guys to talk about, to vote on, whatever. This week, I decided to just ask, what's your go-to streaming service? What's your ride or die? You can't live without. You know, there's a lot of them out there, like 8 or 9 different ones now that are all vying for your attention. So what if you could only spend your money on one is the winner? And I think, no surprise, Netflix wins on Twitter with 54%. It is kind of the OG at this point. It is kind of the one that people just automatically early adopted to and maybe just left going. Like, I know I personally have had Netflix since the end of 2003, and I don't think I've ever stopped paying for it. I've just had it since then. Like I know some people like to like cancel, come back, things like that.
No.
I've just left it running since I signed up, and that's back in the old mail you DVDs day, you know. So yeah, I'm kind of a ride or die Netflixer. Second place, Disney Plus, 23%. I think strength of programming maybe there is what a lot of people would say. And then tied for last place was HBO Max, 11%, as well as the other option, which the other option for me, I said, Hulu, Prime, Paramount Plus, Apple TV, Peacock. Like I said, there's a few other ones that are kind of vying for your attention. So there's your votes, but then there was a lot of other interaction as well. On Twitter, we got a shout out from listener Craig. He said HBO is kind of his go-to. He doesn't want to give that up. As well as Abdad Out, Adam. Thank you for commenting. He said
Haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah, and he said Paramount Plus has been his go-to because they've gotten into the old school Nickelodeon stuff. So
cool. Okay.
That's cool. Kind of harkening back to our review of the Orange Years, maybe. Maybe Adam needs to watch Orange Years.
True.
And then over on Instagram, we got quite a few messages. Netflix and Swill said, I'm biased.
They pick Netflix.
Yes, so that's good. Thank you, Dan, for reaching out on that. Of course, you guys cannot get rid of your Netflix. Adina, new commenter on Instagram. Never saw her commenting before, so welcome. Thank you for your input. She said Disney Plus. She loves the Star Wars and the Marvel stuff, so I think that's what I was saying with the strength of programming. Just recently, a lot of people want to see what's going on with WandaVision and all that stuff, and Falcon Winter Soldier. Instagram, also, Kat shouted out, whatever service is free is what he said, but then I followed up and kind of started a conversation with him. He said Disney Plus right now is his favorite just because he wants to catch up on Mandalorian and all the Marvel stuff, so he is big into that. Alec commenting over on Facebook. Every once in a while he comes out of the woodwork and gives us a little shout. So he said Hulu or HBO Max, so a good shout out for Hulu there. Shy also shouted out Hulu on Instagram. And then Kenny, also somebody who really doesn't comment that often. Thank you for showing up, Kenny. He said Netflix on Instagram as well. So lots of discussion there. I think Netflix is kind of the winner overall. And, to be honest, I'm just kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel right now with these polls. I don't know what else to talk about. So this is what I came up with for this week. We'll see what I come up with for next week because I'm struggling for next week as well.
Who's your favorite Beatle?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. The question was, of the paid services, which do you choose? And Kat said the free one.
Yes.
He's so funny.
He likes to get the free trial, cancel, sign up for another email, then cancel again. He's one of those guys. Yeah.
I like it. All right, reviews are starting on polls. Again, those polls start on every Thursday. They last through Sunday, so you have the entire weekend. And it's across our socials across the board. Twitter, obviously, you can hit that voting option. But as Tony just went through, there's a litany of folks that comment below, and feel free to do that all day, every day. Ready for some reviews?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Mitchell's versus Machines.
Yeah, Mitchell's versus the Machines. I think if I remember correctly, we were excited for this when we saw the first trailer for it. Yep. And then it kind of got shuffled around because of COVID and didn't get released and all that stuff. So we were supposed to see this, I think, early in 2020, or like maybe February of 2020. And then they decided to move it around, I think. And they had originally called it Connected. I think when we saw the trailer, it was called Connected.
That sounds right.
Huh. Yeah, so they kind of took it off the shelf, redid the title, moved it around, so it's been sitting there for a while. And then Netflix somehow came hold of it, and from Sony bought the rights to it. And I think that's a great addition from them. I love this movie. I watched this actually last week, pretty much right after we recorded, like that night after we recorded, I watched it with the kids and the wife, and I loved it. I think it's very much in the same vein of Lego Movie and Spider-Verse, which with Lord Miller producing, that's kind of what you go into expecting. This is the directorial debut of Michael Rianda. He is a writer. He worked on like Gravity Falls, if you're interested, if you know that show from Disney back in the day. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. The voice cast is stellar. I thought Danny McBride was fantastic. Abby Jacobson, Maya Rudolph, Beck Bennett, Fred Armisen, Chrissy Teigen, John Legend are in here, Olivia Colman, Eric Andre. So fantastic voice cast. It just had a original story, good humor, a crazy, like frenetic energy to it, which I can see maybe if you don't like that, the pacing of it or the energy of it, it's kind of just all over the place a little bit. Maybe that could be the only down point for me, but that's my thing. I enjoyed it. And it's just like a feel-good kind of coming-of-age father and their kid kind of story at its heart.
Right.
So I enjoyed it for that more than anything. As a father, I think it spoke to me. So what did you think about Mitchell's versus the Machines?
Can I say that I really really enjoyed it, and then throw out some negatives because
Yeah,
I
no,
don't, like those are the first one. All right, first of all, the first thing I would say, watch it. The whole family all watched together. My daughter, 13 years old, laughed out loud multiple times.
yeah,
I mean, there were multiple laugh out loud, and that, as to your point of being a father watching, made me like the film better. Because I was just like,
yes,
it's really entertaining the kids. Like the kids are absolutely loving this, but we weren't lost on it either. Like as adults, and they didn't need to keep us there with some like innuendo jokes. It's like wink,
no,
wink.
yeah,
No, it was just a good thing. I love the father heartstring tugging, father or parents daughter aspect of it, and then again having a kid close to that age. You and I are similar boats. That kid's almost at that age type thing. It hit hard. It hit really in a good way, in a very positive way. I felt we could trim 15 to 20 off. We had a couple of those moments towards the very end where it was like, all right, got me again. By the third one, I was like, all right, let's wrap it up. Let's go. But we really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I think early on it tells you, sit back. You're just going to have fun with this film. Don't try and nitpick, because if you do, I don't know what you're going to nitpick out of it, because it's just a wild ride, top to bottom. My only glaring negative, was the brother. I didn't like the little brother. I thought the
who
voice
is
cat.
which he's voiced by the writer director of the film.
Is that who does the voice?
Yeah, and I listened to an interview he did with it, and he said that originally they just did it for fun as like a placeholder, and then it just kind of stuck that he ended up doing the voice. So I guess they just decided for whatever reason not to go back and recast it. That didn't bother me at all. It really wasn't
Good.
distracting to me, but maybe, like I said, that's
Yeah.
something you picked up on. My wife didn't enjoy it as much as I did, and I think because she didn't like the weirdness, the kind of frenetic craziness of the energy of it.
Sure.
I liked it. I thought the animation style was fantastic. Like I said,
Great.
similar to Spider-Verse maybe. I like the score quite a bit. Mark Mothersbaugh, I thought, did a good job with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, go into it knowing that it's that. So if you don't like that fast-paced, weird kind of energy and humor, some of that may not hit for you. But yeah, like you said, especially fathers and kids coming of age like this, I think you're going to hit it. I don't know how many times since I've said dog, pig, loaf of bread.
I will say I saw online that there's a big push for this is the next big cosplay, her, because she had those big lightning bolt earrings and like the big glasses.
Yeah.
I've already seen some cosplay people that we follow or whatever, like, can't wait for the next con. I'm totally going as her. I was like, oh,
Well,
nice.
and she has low key become this LGBT kind of
That little
character
post credit,
as well.
yeah.
Well, and you didn't even need that though, and that's what I liked about the movie is they already kind of suggested it very lightly in the story, and it didn't need to beat you over the head with it. It's just, hey, this is how it is, and this is it. So she had her little rainbow, pin on, and she talked about her friend at college, Jade, whatever. So I liked that. I liked that it wasn't like an overly drawn out plot point, and they did a good job balancing that, telling that aspect of the story. It's just, and this is the way, to quote Mandalorian there. One of my other favorite standout scenes was the like Kill Bill kind of scene, if you will, with Maya Rudolph. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Where she's like defending the kids and like goes off and kills.
Where she goes nuts. Yeah.
That was awesome. So yeah, I don't know, just had a lot of fun with it. I think the voice cast was fantastic, and I'm surprised that this thing, like I said, kind of, let's change the name, let's not release it, let's do all this. Like they should have known they had gold on their hands, because I'm predicting it now. I think it will be an Oscar-nominated animation film for this year. It should be.
I agree, and I want it to win just so Olivia Colman gives the acceptance speech. She's the best acceptance speech giver there is. I want to shout Danny McBride. I didn't know it was him right away.
Yeah, he did a good job creating a character, like we talked about with Jamie Foxx in Soul. I think he did the same thing there, creating a character, not just doing his regular voice, not just, phoning it in. Not all voice actors are phoning it in, but sometimes it's like, oh, that's obvious who that is. Like you said, you maybe had to look it up, or like, who is that? You're just barely recognizing it. I think that's great when they can do that and create that as part of their character. So
I agree. I really enjoyed it, folks. I recommend. I'm with you, Tony. Those little nitpicky negatives. I guess just the brother thing took me. The voice casting of the little brother took me out of it a wee bit. But his character was, he had that little nichey thing. Scared of girls, didn't want to talk to girls. But it was funny. It was cute. Yeah. It's a wild ride. I highly recommend.
Yes, agreed. Good. And that's available on Netflix right now. And this is actually like a Netflix and Swill show today. Sorry, boys, we stole your thunder. We're doing lots of Netflix. I think we have four out of 5 reviews are all Netflix today. So there you go.
Next up on there would be Jupiter's Legacy.
Yeah, Jupiter's Legacy. I feel like we talked this up quite a bit. We saw, our poll results. Yeah, we liked the trailer poll results a couple weeks ago. People were really looking forward to it in May. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. I struggled to get through. I watched all 8 episodes, but it was a struggle for me. The very first episode, I was falling asleep during it.
Shut the fuck. All right, stop. I'm starting reviews from now on because you're taking my words.
Oh, really?
Oh, I
No,
slept so
seriously though.
hardcore through the first app, man. I had to
I
reroll.
did. The first episode, I was in and out multiple times,
Yeah.
even into like the last couple episodes. And when it should have been wrapping up and really like getting me involved, I still was kind of like, okay. So I kept waiting for this to get better and to get to that moment where I was going to love it, but it just didn't happen for me. God bless Josh Duhamel. I thought he was great. I thought he was great in it. I really did. But I want the show of just them in the 30s. Like that was the best part to me was the prequel-y stuff, right?
Yep.
I
I want the
don't
only
know
thing.
why.
That's it.
Yeah,
1920.
I don't know
That's it.
why the superhero stuff of them didn't really work for me. I didn't care about any of the kid characters, like the next generation. I was just like, they're annoying. I don't care. They try to set up this good versus evil, or we have to live by this code and all that stuff. I just didn't care. And I don't know if it's because of shows like The Boys or Invincible, which have already come before this. And, they're not Marvel, they're not DC. They fall in that nice line of like original storytelling, but those shows have done it better and have done different things. This really isn't that original to me. It still seems like a tropey origin story of comic book heroes, and for it to be just Mark Miller and not characters that everybody knows, I don't know why anybody cares to watch Jupiter's Legacy. I was, really bored throughout it, to be honest.
The 20s I enjoyed. I actually, every time I flash back to the late 20s, early 30s, I was like, okay, that storyline I actually had fun with. I was intrigued because that was giving me the why. Nothing about now gave me why. Why did he marry Leslie Bibb? Why does he have this code? Where did that code come from? Like, was he this great kid before in the 20s, before his dad, did the stuff? Like, where did that come from? I was missing the why. And is that from, we watch so much comic booky stuff that, like, we've gotten to this point, like, you really got to shock us now. You're right. Nothing about 2021 was I interested in. The daughter annoyed the crap out of me. I was like, dude, what is with you and your attitude? Sorry that your dad is a superhero that saves the world every day. Why do you have this, And then we've seen the son trope, and he's trying to be as good as his dad and impressive. We've seen it, and it was done fine. I will echo your Duhamel thoughts. I thought he played 3 characters pretty well. We saw an arc from his 1930s character, so we got a second one there, and then we saw the current day where he's playing the superhero, and I thought he did a good job. I thought he did a really good job. The aging makeup for him might have been the worst of all of them. I thought the brother looked pretty good, old. Leslie Bibb looked fine. She just had gray hair. I don't know. I was like, it's like, we'll just keep you, like, buddy, put it in a ponytail.
I kind of felt that way.
Get a high bun.
I kind of felt that way in the trailer where I was like,
Yes.
something about that just didn't work for me.
Sure.
And I was a little more skeptical going into this. I wasn't like super excited for this. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not a bad show.
No.
You can watch it and you can enjoy your time with it. It's fine. But I just don't think it rose to that level of like, oh, this is great, or this is anything different or new or, groundbreaking. It's just whatever.
Ep7, I loved Ep7, with the island and the reveals by the end of episode.
Long Skull Island finally, yeah.
Right. I was in. I was like, oh, okay, all right. That was the one ep I was like,
yes, that probably was the best episode of the series. And then episode 8 was very short, and it was like, did it really? I don't even really know if I care. Did it set me up where like, yes, I can't wait to see where they're going with this? I didn't get that feeling,
That's where, and I was liking it. Sorry, before you go to your notes, I apologize. But 2 seasons ago with the Flash on CW, when it was all the mental fighting, I don't know, that loses me. And that's just a me thing. When we do like fights inside of the mind, you're fighting a bit. Yeah. So a lot of that happening, I was like, oh, all right, I guess this is the big battle. And then maybe
I feel like I almost was rooting for the bad guys. I was kind of almost enjoying their characters more.
Sky Fox.
Yeah, Sky Fox was kind of cool.
Sure.
I also was really taken aback by the very first episode, the way that they shot the fight sequence. I think it looked cheapy or like almost like CW TV level.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to get something a little more cinematic out of this show, and I didn't look up the budget numbers, so I wonder what they spent on this and how much, whatever. But it looked a little to me, especially that first episode.
Yeah. When that's your only big fight scene, you would think they kind of would have. Especially Ep1, trying to suck folks in. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
I mean, I guess there was some pretty decent gore to it, like a little more high violence than some of your other, comic booky stuff, similar to something like Invincible or The Boys in that way. Yeah. But sure. I don't know. And Duhamel is the only one who stood out for me. I think Leslie Bibb was doing nothing and nothing impressive. I don't know, man. Like I said, just really let down by it overall. And I don't know if that's superhero fatigue or what. Like, what is it that's setting in that's making me feel this way? Because I did like Invincible. I did like The Boys. This
Right.
one is just like, and I think most people are saying this is what they want, is more stories that we don't know, or like, let's get away
Sure.
from Marvel and DC. Like, let's get some new original stuff. But there just wasn't enough new original to it. It just felt like you were copying established characters that maybe we all already knew and grew up with.
You watching season 2?
I don't know, man. I think it's going to bank on what they're doing with it once I see a trailer, where they're going to be going with the story. Because I think, is it like 4 different volumes that he has of this?
Yeah, I believe
Because
so.
you notice they're like volume 1, episode 1, or whatever. So I think he
Mhm.
has like 4 volumes of the story. So I don't know if they're already like all in on telling the whole thing, but
Mhm.
I'm good. I could be done on this one.
And if you have the transport stick, where are you
Yeah.
going?
I like
Where's
him. I like the Weekend. That's why I kept calling him the Weekend. I liked him the best of the whole show. I thought his character was cool,
Sure. Yeah.
and they didn't really even give me that much of him. So here's the thing too. I was wondering, would have been better if we didn't do the jumpy back and forthy timelines, and maybe you just gave me one full episode of here's the 30s and here's how they got this,
Yeah.
and just did it as like that bottle episode of like showing me instead of flashbacking back and forth every episode. Like if that would that have made a
Probably.
difference and made it a better story?
Maybe.
I don't.
Then I would have known which episode's just a skip.
Yeah, 1 through 6.
All right, there you go, guys. There's Jupiter's Legacy. Not a bad review, but I don't know. Going with some tepid expectations, I think I'll say.
Yes, yes.
It has some elements, but okay. You saw this. I did not see this because I get scared easy. And this is Tony's True Crime Corner.
There you go. We got to come up with
We need
a
better.
theme song for that. Like put in a
I
little
like
like Halloween, like
immediately we were both like,
psycho.
no, we need something better than that.
Yeah. All right, Sons of Sam. Now this is a new Netflix documentary. I didn't know anything about this until like last week, and I saw it on the schedule, and I was like, hell yeah, I'll watch that because I love the story of Son of Sam. And David Berkowitz, famous kind of serial killer from the 70s, held New York basically at bay for an entire summer because people were getting killed and they didn't know what was going on. And it's kind of already been explored a little bit in movies. You know, Summer of Sam, Spike Lee kind of looked at this story a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
this is expanding on maybe something I didn't really know, that there was one guy in particular who was really kind of researching this and following up this story and saying, no, it wasn't just Berkowitz. It was a whole like satanic cult. He had proof to it that there were other people involved and all this stuff. And I never knew all of that. I just kind of assumed David Berkowitz was it, and they caught him, and that was the story, and he was the serial killer because that's what they
Sure.
convicted, and they put him in jail. You know, so it is interesting if you go into it not knowing a lot about the case. If you know everything about the case, I can see where you'd be bored and be like, oh, I already knew this or whatever. But
All right.
looking at this guy making the case for this, you know, he talks to Berkowitz. There's footage of him interviewing Berkowitz as late as like the 90s, and him talking about this and saying, no, you know, I only pulled the trigger on 2 of these out of the 8 murders or whatever, and it was these other guys that I was involved in and whatever. So he's admitting himself that it was a larger group of people, and they were basically a satanic cult, and he was one of the members, and they would go to these sites to do these murders, and they would go 3 or 4 people deep sometimes. So sometimes he was a lookout, sometimes he was a driver, sometimes he was the one shooting, whatever, and they kind of took turns doing it. um, so that was interesting. There's also like connections possibly to this church based out of England, and it has ties to like Scientology even, so that's explored a little bit, and then also possibly a tie into Manson, and that maybe the same group was also kind of intertwined with the Charles Manson stuff. So interesting in how that whole story was expanded upon, and I thought there was a lot to back up what the investigator was trying to sell. But as of now, it's still just Berkowitz was it, and that's it, and they just kind of left it at that, and they never really investigated it further. The cops didn't. But it is intriguing to see all this stuff laid out and all the different evidence. So I did enjoy my time with it. 4 episodes, you know, under an hour each. Not bad, especially if you like true crime stuff. So
Only 4 eps? Okay.
yep, yep. So check out the old Sons of Sam on Netflix.
From one monster to another, you mentioned how new Monster is.
Yes.
Buddy, it's so new. I looked on each of these actors' IMDb pages, not listed.
Oh, right, yeah. Well, so here's why. Let me explain. You didn't watch this, right?
I did watch this, sir.
Oh, you did? I thought you said you didn't. Okay.
I apologize. I did.
Okay, okay. So this actually released in Sundance, 2018.
18.
So,
Oh, wow.
yeah.
I didn't scroll
So
back. That's why.
for some reason, this movie had been shelved or just not found distribution until now. So And I don't really know why. I couldn't really find why. It got pretty decent reviews out of Sundance, and I feel like it's getting pretty decent reviews so far. I enjoyed it. I thought it was quite timely, the way that the story was told and the way that we're looking at it, looking at the treatment of black men in the, in the justice system, if you will, and seeing it from that side of somebody who may or may not have been guilty. I thought that was an interesting way to do it, the way that the film was laid out. It's the feature debut of director Anthony Mandler. He'd mostly done music videos, things like that before. The screenplay is co-written by Rada Blank from 40-Year-Old Version. So that's a cool little shout there. This probably technically was her first project then, before 40-Year-Old Version, because it was out a couple years ago. And this is based on, I guess, a famous novel by Walter Dean Myers. I'd never heard of it or read it before, but I guess this has been kicking around and they've wanted to adapt it for a while. Executive produced by John Legend, Nas, and Jeffrey Wright, who are also in the movie. Great cast here. Kelvin Harrison Jr., Tim Blake Nelson, Nas, John David Washington in a small appearance. Jennifer Hudson, Jeffrey Wright, A$AP Rocky, Jennifer Ellie, and it's basically the story of this kid who's an honor student who's charged with murder. And is it mistaken? Is it not? And they kind of take the whole movie to play it out and let you know, like, maybe he's involved, maybe he's not. Is he a good kid? Is he not? Yeah. Will this one run-in change the course of his life? Is basically what it is, and it's an interesting look at that. Of course, Kelvin Harrison Jr. is fantastic. I've shouted him out before in a couple movies I've seen him in. He does not disappoint here. I think he's great. He gives another great performance. I'm going to throw it your way because I want to know, this is kind of a softball, weird twist of the review here, but should he be the Black Superman?
Ooh, I can see it now.
For some reason, watching this movie, I was thinking that. I was like, you know what? Kelvin Harrison Jr. is on the rise as an actor, and I can see him, for some reason, being a superhero in our near future. I really think somebody, DC or Marvel, is going to grab him and put him in a role. And I feel like maybe this is the opportunity.
Especially the project they're talking about doing. I think he'd do a really good job with that emotionality and the range. I'll echo what you just said. He's fantastic in this. I really, really liked him in this. I thought he did a great job. And he needed to. He drives the movie. He's in almost every single scene of film. Jeffrey Wright, J. Hud, they did a good job. It's really funny now realizing this came out 3 years ago. Yeah. Like when John David Washington showed up, I was like, oh, that's awesome. They got JDW to jump in real quick. That's really cool. Yeah. No, they didn't.
It was before he was really famous. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. I really enjoyed this movie. I really did. I thought it was a really unique take, a different take. It doesn't sway you one side or the other. It lets you make your own decision with how this thing's going. It puts you right in the face of these prosecutors that, nope, that guy's accused, he definitely did it, and then they just lean into it. He had to have done it, he was there, he's black, they're black, lock him up. Like, it's just like, it hits you right in the face, and I don't know, they could have even gone further with some of the emotionality if they wanted to. I almost wonder if they waited on it and they wanted to, like, add in a law enforcement element maybe or something. I'm glad they didn't, because I thought it was great. I loved he's an aspiring filmmaker kind of thing, so they got to like throw like that fun stuff in there, and him doing his small film projects. I highly recommend this. I really enjoyed it. No lie.
Yeah. It was very good, and I think it's smart that they kind of waited on it in a way, because now this is a good time to release it. I think just the way society is and what we're talking about and the protests and things like that going on, this is on everybody's mind, so it's a good time to get this project out there. I will shout out Jennifer Ellie. I liked her performance quite a bit as the defense attorney.
Julianne Moore?
I haven't really seen her in much, though, right?
Oh, I thought it was Julianne Moore the whole time.
But I thought she was good. Like, I want to see her in more. Yeah, I want to see her in more. Tim Blake Nelson, great job. Very small role as that kind of, like, mentor to him. I thought he did a great job. And then, actually, A$AP Rocky and Nas both give pretty good performances for being rapper-turned-actors, if you will. Sure. A lot of times those people don't show emotion or anything in their performances, but these guys were good. They emoted. They had a good delivery of their lines. I thought they did really good. So yeah, again, this is a highly recommended film. I thought it was well done. I don't know. It's just so weird with the 18 release and just being, put now. I guess it's going to be forgotten and not really seen by most, but I'm hoping.
Not if we have anything to do with it, pal.
Yeah, well, I'm going to keep, trumpeting for Kelvin Harrison Jr. I think he's great, and I want to see him doing more, and I want to see more people finding his projects, because Loose and Waves were both fantastic films that he was in, and if you haven't seen those, go seek those out, and then this one is another one. So that's 3 fantastic performances he's been in the last couple of years.
I like it. All right, last thing we're going to do, folks, is we got 2 episodes of Bad Batch on Disney+, so we're going to give you a little first take action on the old Bad Batch. It's on Disney+, just released last week. First one was almost an hour. Oh,
Yeah, it was over an hour. It was
it
like
was over an
70
hour,
minutes
right?
long. Yeah, it was
That's
basically
right.
like a
It was
little
70,
movie.
and then
Yeah,
then because I thought they all were, but then the rest of the way out there 30-ish.
yeah. And did you watch? I forget. Did you watch the final season of the Clone Wars?
Clone Wars, yes, yeah.
Okay, so they
I
already
caught
kind of
up on all of them.
introduced. Yeah, they kind of introduced these characters there, but then this show is going to be basically like a prequel because we're seeing them now right as Order 66 has happened, that. So when we saw them in Clone Wars, it was already past that time, kind of thing. So interesting way to do that. I guess it felt to me like they were just trying to introduce this new, like, hey, you didn't have to see Clone Wars. We're going to start this new, you know what I mean? So people could pick
Sure.
up on it and not need that past element there. It's going to be 16 episodes. We've gotten 2 so far because they did the May the 4th drop and then the Friday. So it will be typical on Friday, and I think it will be typically 30 minutes or less as well. I like this story. I think this is cool, the way that they've decided to do this, these defective clones, if you will, or whatever. And this is
Yeah.
actually from a George Lucas original idea. He wanted to do this
Oh,
when
wow.
he was still involved, so they've been running with that. Dave Filoni's involved, of course, here. I love getting D. Bradley Baker back to do all the voices of the clones. I think that's pretty impressive. He should get paid like 5 times for the show because he does all the different clones,
Yeah.
gives them their own little unique, distinct tastes. Um, it's a spin-off sequel of Clone Wars. They really could just say this is another season of Clone Wars.
Sure.
Like, whatever. So if you like that and you like that style of animation and you were a fan of that stuff, you can jump right in. I don't know if you're a casual Star Wars fan will get on board with this.
Right.
And maybe, if you're just a person who only sees the movies, maybe this isn't for you. And it is a little kid friendly, so maybe it's not like super serious like your Mandalorian and things like that people get into.
Sure.
Especially with the introduction of the Omega character, or Omega, she says it, who's also like a genetically modified clone, I guess, is what she is, from the Caminos, which I thought we were done with Camino, man. I was like, I don't want to go back there with those weird long neck people, and they're like,
Yeah.
I don't like those weird long necks. They're creepy to me.
YouTubers are getting a treat today, baby.
So, but anyways, it's fine. It's a good show. If you like this stuff, you're gonna like this. If you liked Clone Wars, you're gonna like this. But like I said, if you're only into Mandalorian or you're only into the main like live action Star Wars movies, this might not be your cup of tea.
Right. Yeah.
That's my take on it. And I thought the second episode boring, filler, just kind of garbage episode, really. So,
Yeah.
But the first episode was fun. I think it was good. It was good at establishing these characters in this world.
Yeah, I was thinking that if you and Roy from the Realm drops once a month at the end of every month, Realm of Take Two, that host Roy didn't make me watch Rebels and Clone Wars, which I hadn't when they were on regularly, and then so I binged them both. I was thinking, I was like, I wonder if I didn't watch those, if I would be liking this. I will say that opening up with the Order 66 stuff, my Star Wars radar was like, oh, cool. We're doing Order 66. Like, it's that, like, seeing that timeline, seeing what happened elsewhere when that was being released. I was like, oh, that's pretty tight, as the kids don't, never mind. I enjoyed it. I liked it. Second ep was fine, like you just said. I'm looking forward to the rest, seeing where they go, who else we'd bring in this universe. And right now, Dave Filoni and Star Wars, sign me up. I'm in.
Yeah. Well, and that was the cool thing. We get to see Palpatine. We get to see Tarkin, which he's been in animation before. If you did watch the Rebels and stuff like that, he was on there before. But that was cool. Saw Gerrera, who now we've seen cartoon, live action, now back to cartoon. So that's fun. Did you pick up on the Rebels kind of Easter egg at the beginning of the show there?
Oh, no.
The young Padawan who escapes, and they were calling him Caleb.
Yeah.
That's Kanan Jarrah from Rebels. So
which was voiced by Freddie Prinze.
And they used him to voice him again. I thought that was great. So that was really cool. I didn't know we were going to see that. Because the young Padawan story of Kanan is actually a very popular story with a lot of Star Wars aficionados, people who read all the stuff in the novels and comics and stuff. So that was cool. I didn't know that was coming. And we know from the trailer as well, we're going to get Shenik from Mandalorian now in animation. So they're really kind of playing back and forth with the live action and animation stuff, which is fun. And really building off of Clone Wars and Rebels and trying to make the prequel stuff cool again. Trying to make the prequels worthwhile, I think, for most people. And I think it's hitting for that generation of people who grew up with the prequels as their Star Wars. Now they're late 20s, early 30s, whatever. This is their nostalgia now, is to go back and watch this era and this timeline of Star Wars. So I think it's just continuing to bolster that and make you want to revisit the prequels and be like, oh, okay, now I do like this better.
Make prequels great again. I like it.
Yeah, there you go. I think that
There
was
you
all
go,
I had.
folks. Yeah, same. You said all the good words there. So there's your Bad Batch, as Tony mentioned, drops Disney Plus on Fridays. We're going to take a quick breather. I'll be right back. All right, we mentioned those socials earlier, and they were hot. I mean, hot over the weekend. Not only did we have all those comments for the poll, which, by the way, that was a lot of comment belows.
It was like 10 easily, all over Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. So, yeah, thank you for all those people.
Our text messaging was on fire, absolutely on fire, with multiple folks texting in. And we got a lengthy voicemail as well, which I absolutely love. Anyone that ever drops a voicemail.
Yeah, the voicemail, well, it's funny because the original voicemail got cut off. It was so long, and then he had to give a second voicemail just to finish his original message. And that was Craig hitting us up on some songs that we forgot. And I told him on the side, I said, most of those are kind of more Craig choices, like movies that most of us don't know. But I did want to give him credit for the Karate Kid, and then we missed that one. And then, we got Cats. Cats came out of his cocoon, just like a cicada, 17 years later, came back to text us. It's been a while since we've heard from him, but he was talking to me about the Octavia episode. So I think I gave a challenge about the Spotlight. I wanted somebody to do it. So he listened and he reached out to us, and he said he had actually rewatched SWAT recently, and he remembers Octavia Spencer's scene with LL Cool J. So he was wanting to tell us about that. And then he also said that in an interview she did, she talked about her and Melissa McCarthy meeting and doing improv together at UCB. So thank you for that information and following up on there. And then he asked me what I was doing for the weekend, and he said, are you just watching everything known to man, since every week you have reviews on stuff I've never heard of?
Yes.
He's not wrong, but that's the point of our show. And he said, yes, we appreciate your hard work for doing that. And that's what we do, man. We try and find stuff and tell you whether it's worth your while or not. I'm going to steer you towards the monsters and away from the Jupiter's Legacy. And then also Chris reached out on the text messages for a little bit there, and he thanked us for dodging a bullet without a remorse. He didn't want to watch Without Remorse based on a remorse. So.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But he did recommend a show that he's been watching called, what is it called? Rutherford, which is a new Ed Helms show that's on Peacock.
Oh, I have the Peacock.
So I said I didn't know anything about it, but you are our Peacock and Apple kind of guy.
I'll jump on the cock. All right.
Yeah, jump on the cock and tell us about the that show there. And we were talking about the mayor of Easttown as well, which I sent you the clip from SNL this week. I was dying watching that. Did you watch it?
I did. After you sent it to me, I hadn't seen it.
They did such a funny job. What do they call it? Murder Dirter?
Murder Dirter.
Murdered my dirter by the wooder. Oh, I was dying watching that. So if you haven't watched The Mayor of Easttown yet, it's a decent show. We'll have a review once the season's over. But SNL had fun with it this week. So, but yeah, lots of great socials. Thanks to all those people that reached out.
Let's jump on to the casting couch.
Alrighty. I don't have a ton this week for casting, surprisingly, but the ones that I did read were pretty good. Adrian Brody and Alexander Skarsgård are both joining Succession for season 3.
Oh, really?
Dang, I'm gonna finally. I've said that. How many times have I said this on the show? Yeah, how many times have I said that on the show? I've got to catch up with Succession.
Yep. Every time it wins an
Every year that it's nominated for Emmys, I keep saying we're gonna catch up with it, and we don't. Hannah John Kamen, most known as Ghost from the Ant-Man and Wasp films, she has been cast as Red Sonja in the reboot of that. I was never a big fan of the Red Sonja. Do you remember that from back in the day?
I do remember it, but
kind of like Conan, maybe, but a chick Conan.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Paved the way for Xena is what it did.
Yeah. I am surprised, though. I think she's a good actress, and I've always wondered why she didn't get more after Ant-Man and the Wasp. So, no, she was in that one show you reviewed.
Yeah,
what was that called?
I wanted to say Ghost, where she played a ghost, but yeah, she was. She knew things about people.
Series, right?
Yeah, it was a decent series, British produced series.
Okay.
I can't remember the darn name of it. It was really good too.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have here? John David Washington. We were just talking about him a few minutes ago. He has joined a new project called True Love, directed by Gareth Edwards, and it's supposed to be a near-future sci-fi film. But other than that, I don't really have casting information. Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry, I do. There is an open casting call for young Steven Spielberg, or as the character is called, Sammy, in the new film, The Fabelmans. So they are calling the film Fabelmans, and the main character is called Sammy, but it is based on Steven Spielberg's life, and they are casting a young, 8 and under version, as well as a teenage version.
Aha. Okay. Go with some no-names, probably.
Yeah, I like the cast so far. We already talked about Michelle Williams, Paul Dano, Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
So, and I like the play on words of Fablemans. Like, really, that's what their name is. Are they telling fables, man?
Yeah.
Good job there, Steven.
Let's see Finn Wolfhard being cast as teenage Steven Spielberg.
Could be, could be. All right, what do you got for me?
Rosaline is a Romeo and Juliet revision that's being made. It comes from When You Were Mine novel that put a little modern twist on Romeo and Juliet, and Caitlin Dever has been cast in there. She is on fire lately.
Yeah. Is she sleeping at all? I'm worried.
Well, I was going to say, when does she have time to film all these things? But the way. Secret Headquarters. This is Owen Wilson will be the star, and the Joost and Schulman directors of Project Power. They're taking over as directing for this thing, Secret Headquarters, and then Jerry Bruckheimer. Bruckheimer is producing. Yeah, exactly. This is a kid discovers the secret headquarters to the world, which houses superpowered people underground. Okay. I don't think Owen Wilson's playing the kid. Speed Girl, Janet Guthrie, true story about her. She broke sound barriers. She was a pilot and then drove cars that broke the sound barriers, and we got Hilary Swank to play that, so future nominations for Hillary. We talked about last week Toni Collette being cast in Staircase, and you hypothesized that it was based on a true crime doc. You are accurate, sir. I said I would follow up and find out if that's true. So you're right. It is on the true crime doc series. They've also added Rosemary DeWitt and Colin Firth to the cast.
Ooh, I wonder if Colin Firth is playing the husband. That's awesome. I highly recommend that documentary. It's a very good true crime doc. I think it's 13 episodes, but it's really good. And it was filmed over like multiple years during the trial. And there were like appeals and things like that. And they went back and like redid more episodes and like originally it was only 8 episodes and they like filmed more as more info came out. So it's a really interesting story. Wow. Now I'm really intrigued on that. Okay, cool.
And that's just called Staircase, right? The doc is as well?
The doc is, yeah, it's on Netflix.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Finding the Mother Tree, Jakey Boy, Gyllenhaal, and Amy Adams have won the rights to produce this movie, and Amy Adams will be starring in that. That is based off of a novel where trees communicate with each other underground, like their roots connect, and then that's how.
So is Shyamalan directing this? Is this the Happening part too?
Bring that in. So the interesting part there is there's a huge bidding war for which production company will get a hold of it. They have individual production companies, and they both won. So I was missing, maybe did they like call each other like the Sharks do on Shark Tank? They're like, hey, you want to go on in this one together?
Yeah.
And like, so Jakey gets like top producing if
That's
Amy
a good
stars
idea for
in
a
it.
show. You just came up with a good show there. Like, these people can present their projects, and we have a Shark Tank of producers.
I'm erasing this. Shut up. Don't say any more. Don't say any more words.
It's a good reality show.
Editing this out. Nobody listen. You heard nothing. Wah, 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 wah. Lastly, I think I retweeted this. I don't remember if I put it on our Facebook or not, but I know you saw Lily James and Sebastian Stan.
Yes, it looks
as
amazing.
Pam and Tommy Lee.
I will say Lily James looks more amazing. Like it's unrecognizable.
Yes,
she looks just like Pam Anderson. I couldn't have told you that was Lily James unless I already knew looking at the picture. Sebastian Stan looks good, fine, whatever. But
they threw some tattoos. He's already like thin guy. Yeah, sure.
Wow. Okay, they really did it, and it looks good. So I'm highly looking forward to this project.
I agree all around. I was enjoying the side-by-sides, not of her and Pamela to see how much she looks like Pam, but like her and Cinderella. Like, this is the same chick.
Yeah.
Some of the memes, like what happens, after midnight, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, that's it for the casting couch. Time to talk some trailers.
Yeah, and thank God, second week in a row, we got some news right before we recorded. So otherwise, our trailer section would have been a little light. We did just get the trailer for Venom, Let There Be Carnage. This looks like trash to me. I really especially hate the beginning of the trailer. The scene of like Venom helping him make food or whatever. It's like, I don't like that tone that they're going for. They're making it like this buddy comedy tone with Venom. And I guess I never really read the comics, so maybe I'm wrong, but were the comics in that comedic tone?
I can't speak to it. I didn't think so, and I, too, did not read a lot of Venom.
I thought Venom was more of like a scary kind of villainous character.
Same.
So why are we going with this lighthearted comedic tone with like a buddy comedy? I don't really like that. I will say I'm looking forward to Woody Harrelson and seeing what he can bring to it. At least they fixed his hair and made that more compelling and better to look at.
True.
Okay, cool. We'll get Carnage. Awesome. But the comedy stuff of it is very off-putting to me.
They are, there's always the thing, like, if you ever walked out on a movie or turned a movie off or whatever, I almost turned off the trailer watching the
Yeah.
little making of the breakfast. I was like, oh.
Well, I
Didn't-
barely got through the original movie.
Right. And honestly, with the original movie, like the last 30, I was like, oh, if that was the beginning, like I hated the first hour and 20 of the original movie. But this doesn't look like it's taking off greatly. They do give you that little spider Easter egg, like, dealing with our villains or something, and then you see a guy squashing a spider. So, ooh, hint, maybe. But yeah, there wasn't a lot in here. I mean, maybe you'll just eat the lady that knows about you. Is that going to be, how long is that a thing? Who does he eat? Does he just eat bad guys? Is that the route we're going?
So, and this has been pushed almost a full year, right? Because this was supposed to come out October of last year, and now it's coming out in September. Right? Yeah.
Right.
All right, man. I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to watch it, but I'm not excited about it at this point. So,
is there a trailer you were excited about?
No, honestly.
Hot take.
We also got the Stranger Things season 4, little tease. Whatever. All it does is just say that we're going to, I guess, look more at the backstory of 11, which, that's cool. Okay. But that's all you showed me. That's not really anything to do with season 4 if all you're focusing on is stuff we already knew kind of from season 1 and maybe fleshing that. So I guess Matthew Modine will be back then?
True. Yeah. I don't know if I want to see the backstory of 11. I don't know if that does much for me. Also, when they're building that hospital, who comes in and says, you know what? Let's do white tiles with white tiled walls, and let's just do more white tile ceilings. Like, what fashion person came in and said, this is how we'll do this hospital, folks?
It's got to be sterile. It's a mental place or whatever. I don't know, man. But I just know a lot of people had backlash when they did the whole, like, side episode of 11. That was season 3, right?
Yeah. And when she met her sister?
Yeah. So a lot of people didn't like that anyway. So it's like, is this going to be the same kind of thing where we're looking at more of that? And I just wonder if they're looking to expand the story more and, like, let's introduce more characters like 11 so we can keep this cash cow going. You know what I mean?
I think it's why I liked 11. She's the only character that could do that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise,
we're on the same page.
Turns into 11's legacy.
Yeah.
Did you see the final Quiet Place 2 trailer, though?
I've been trying not to watch any of that stuff, so no.
Okay. All right. Okay. We don't need to talk about it. May 28th, as if I wanted to see this movie more.
I was going to say, I know I'm going to see it anyways. I've been waiting over a year, so I don't want to see anything else.
That's wrapping up our trailer talk. We're going to take a quick breather and be back with the third act of our show. My dad busted my stones pretty good the other day. It has been revealed to my wife that I have never seen Gone with the Wind.
Okay.
So she was like, what? Did that whole shtick of, can't believe it. I was like, well, it came out, 50 years before I was born. Whatever. Never seen it. Frankly, my dear, I just don't give a damn. Anyway.
Wow,
she decides to snitch. I do want to see the movie. But so we pull it up the other night to watch. I was like, oh, it's 3:20. Like, we don't have time right now to drop a 3-hour or 20-minute movie. Boom. So she snitches, tells my parents. They lose their mind. Like, what? I was like, well, bad parenting. You guys should have made me watch it, whatever. So my dad turns and he goes, if Avengers 12 was 4 hours, you'd watch that, but you can't watch this? I was like,
True. All true. And guess what? You can tell them that I have that on our schedule for a Patreon episode later this year.
Watching Gone with the Wind?
Yes, I have. Okay. I've been talking about this one for a while. I want to revisit the year of film 1939 because you have Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz, and they're both credited to the same director.
Right.
So I want to do that. So we're going to talk about that later in the year as a Patreon episode. So you have to watch it between now and then. There you go. It's homework.
Honestly, I've never not wanted to watch it. Just never come around. My dad did pitch a good idea that maybe we could talk about later of going down the rabbit hole of like big movies that everyone's seen that we haven't. Like we could do an ep or a segment something to that. All right, Hollywood news time.
All right. Speaking of The Quiet Place 2, we just referenced there. Emily Blunt and John Krasinski are wanting more money from Paramount because since the original release date of this film, they have now changed their policy and said we're shortening the release window to, streaming services. So now Paramount's release window is only 45 days. So they're saying, you kind of changed the game on us. We're not going to make as much money because people are going to wait and maybe watch it at home, especially during a pandemic, and especially if they know now you're only going to have to wait 45 days to see it. It's valid. And so the article I read, let me see if I can pull it back up. This is terrible radio, but it referenced a couple other instances where this has already happened and they've kind of won that battle.
The filmmakers won the battle?
Yeah, the one being Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot both got like an extra $10 million or something because the movie was just put on streaming only and didn't get that box office. Because I think they were supposed to get a back end of the profits from the box office. So then once they changed the game, they had to kind of revisit their contracts. And then I think the other one, let me make sure, I don't want to give bad information here, but it was Denzel Washington. Yes, he got an additional $20 million because they put Little Things on HBO Max.
What?
Wow, that's insane to me. So
Imagine if that movie was good.
Yeah, exactly. So there's some past precedents, I guess, for this. So I kind of hope that they win it. You know, they deserve their money. So good for them.
Jared Leto got a nomination out of it. Denzel will give you 20. Jared will give you a nom.
Yeah. Conan O'Brien has set his June finale for his TBS talk show, which has been going on for 11 years now. We had announced maybe a couple weeks back that he was doing the HBO Max thing anyway. So I guess we knew this was going to happen, that he was going to leave. And I feel like this is the end of late night talk show. Yeah. Like, I think we're getting to that point anyways, where most of the stuff like Fallon, things like that, people just see the viral videos that get passed around or look them up online. They're not watching late night talk shows. They're not staying up to watch it, whatever. Most people, I think, especially newer generations. So I think we're seeing the death of that as a format, like in the next couple of years. I don't think there's going to be late night talk shows anymore. So not saying that Conan O'Brien is some champion of that and this is like the big death knell, but I just think he sees where it's going. And I think he's even said in the past with his introduction of his podcast, like podcasts are almost the new late night TV. You have lots of celebrities who have podcasts now that do interviews and stuff, and Joe Rogan and things like that. And that's where people go and listen to these interviews. They're not watching them on late night TV. So I know I talked to Roy earlier this week about it. He's sad. Irregulars has been canceled at Netflix. He was kind of high on that show, I think, on his review. And it was in the top 10 on Netflix the week it was out. And actually, Nielsen came out and said that it had better ratings than Falcon and Winter Soldier as far as streaming numbers. So what does a show need to do on Netflix to get another season?
Hashtags.
I don't know if it's just like maybe big budget. I didn't watch it, so maybe the budget was just kind of too big for them to want to commit to more. I don't know.
Yeah. Restore the irregular verse.
There you go. Loki has moved up 2 days. So we're getting it on June 9th now, and it's going to be Wednesday drops, which makes sense because you've already got Bad Batch on Fridays. So why not make 2 different days of the week, kind of appointment TV? I think that's the idea there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, that's a big Marvel talking point I want to get to later. Oh, Netflix also. Another Netflix news. They cut ties with the HFPA. Yeah. They said, we're not going to be involved in your Golden Globies anymore because you guys have not done enough to fix your inclusion issues. You have 80 members. That's it. Nobody's black. Everybody's just the same, and you suck. And we kind of gave you a deadline, and you didn't fix it. So we're out. I think you're going to see more people jump on this train, to be honest. And I wonder, are we even going to get a Golden Globes this year?
I wonder the exact same thing. It's a big deal that they're not working with them any longer until they change these. They said this got brought up months ago at the Golden Globes very publicly, and you've done nothing since. And I don't know if that's a long enough timeline to give them. Here's 3 months to fix what you've done for 80 years. I
think they did. They came out with some kind of guidance, like, hey, in the next 18 months, we're going to do this, whatever. And people are saying, it's not enough. You're not doing good enough. So
Scarlett Johansson came out, said she will not be doing any press with them for quite some time. I'm sure we'll see a few other big name stars doing the exact same thing. And Scarlett came out straight up and she was like, this isn't even like the diversity thing. Like all of their questions are sexist type questions, like, and we've seen those videos. I think almost everyone's seen, like, she's on the panel with all the Avengers. They ask them about their scenes and then they go to her, so what were you wearing? Like what? And even that we've talked about in the past where it's really just, hey, what can you do to schmooze us? Like those movies like The Tourist or something where Johnny Depp and Angelina Jolie just come and schmooze them and, we're going to vote for it now, even though it's a terrible movie. Or look at Music this year with Sia. Like, everybody panned that movie, but somehow it gets nominations. It's because somebody's paying them off or having some parties or whatever, Sure.
Somebody, probably Sia did like an appearance at somebody's birthday party for their kid or something, and they're like, well, we'll nominate you. Let's see, the Muppets. We're getting a Haunted Mansion-themed Muppets Disney Plus event this year. So that's cool. I'm excited. Yeah. I love the Muppets. I wish they did more with the Muppets, personally. We'll see. Seth Rogen recently gave an interview and said, you know what, I'm not going to be working with James Franco anymore after these sex harassment allegations. Kind of the first time he's really spoke out against it. a couple years ago, I remember he was joking about it a little bit when he hosted SNL, things like that. But now he's kind of taking a stance like, nah, if you haven't noticed, we really haven't worked together in the last couple of years anyways, and that's why. Like, I don't feel comfortable with it. So yeah, not going to have him. Cool. He's one of those people that's going to get canceled. And we'll talk about another one of those people getting canceled even more in the DC section. Oh, last thing for news, we had a rest in peace this week.
Yeah, we did.
Tawny Katane was 59 years old. I'm stretching it with her being a movie star. She was in Bachelor Party. So at least I can talk about her there. And she was on an episode of Seinfeld, the Nose Job episode.
That's valid. True.
I remember her most from Whitesnake, all the Whitesnake videos. She was married to the lead singer for a while there. She was in Here I Go Again, Is This Love? What's the other one? Still the Night. Like, they were in like 3 or 4 different videos there for a while with just her writhing on the hood of the car, which was fantastic. Every young boy remembers those videos. I also wanted to give a little Cleveland connection. She was married to one of our players there for a while in the
Hey.
Yeah, so
nice.
There you go, little Indians connection. But yeah, rest in peace, Tawny Katane. They still had no reason for the death, I guess, but 59 seems young. So that's it for me. Anything else?
Yeah, the only other things that I had you didn't have is that Goonies remake, that Spielberg Goonies remake that they wanted to do is out. Fox is out on that.
Good.
Not doing that, which is fine. The Berlin Film Festival, they announced June 9th through the 20th is a go. It's in person, and it will be all outdoor.
Okay. The Berlin Air.
Yeah. So I'm
happy Berlin Air in air. Okay.
Yeah. And so for the much maligned, I saw so much flack going into the Elon Musk SNL this past week.
Yeah, did you watch it?
Would you watch it? I didn't. I saw 2 clips, but I didn't get to watch any of it. Ratings up 33% for this app.
Yeah, I wonder if that's one of those things where people just want to see if he's going to fail kind of thing.
Sure.
I watched it. My take, I thought his monologue was really cringy and awkward and weird. And he comes out and says that he has Asperger's, which I guess maybe he had never said before, or people didn't know that. Mm-hmm. And I guess he's claiming that's why he doesn't, he kind of has these like tics and things like that. So I guess he was just explaining it. But his monologue was pretty terrible, I thought. But then the rest of it, I thought he was actually kind of funny in some of the skits, and I thought he did a decent job in those. So
done with the Hollywood news, on to the DC discussion.
All right, this is what I was going to talk about earlier with somebody else getting canceled. Gal Gadot finally spoke out about Joss Whedon, saying that he had basically threatened her that he was going to finish her career if she didn't do a certain thing that he wanted to do, whatever.
Sure.
And this is also on the heels of, I think, the stunt double for her was also talking about the scene where Flash is supposed to lay in her cleavage and she didn't want to do it and locked herself in the room or something like. So there was the whole thing with Joss and just more and more people talking about how bad he is to work for. So he ain't coming back. He ain't gonna do anything anytime soon. Him and Franco are gone with Armie Hammer somewhere.
Sure. Bye. See ya.
We kind of hinted at it earlier, the Superman reboot. We were talking about that. Some more information came out this week that they want to do it as a 20th century period piece.
Ooh, okay.
So, I think that works. Maybe are we going to be tapping into like racial stuff then, I'm guessing?
With the characters they want to do it, it would make total sense.
Makes sense.
It'd be intriguing.
And
his powers too are a little lessened than what Superman's powers now are these days, which I enjoy more. I don't enjoy the almighty, all-powerful, godlike Superman. So I think that intrigues me more. That would be cool to see him doing those more types of saving people stuff.
And then J.J. Abrams said, he sees it as being tone deaf for him to direct it. So their short list of directors are looking at Stephen Cable Jr., Regina King, Shaka King, maybe even Barry Jenkins. So
cool.
Definitely going to get a black director in there. So I think they want to focus on, like I said, telling that black story and maybe focusing on that racial angle. So, Superman is not just from another world, but he's also discriminated against here. So
all true. Nice.
Could be an interesting take on the character that we haven't seen before. Tom Cavanaugh and Carlos Valdez officially done with The Flash after season 7. I think we already kind of knew that. Yeah, well, we kind of already knew like they were gone.
Yeah.
Kavanaugh, I think, extended his stay because of the coronavirus stuff. Right. They didn't finish up stuff, so now that's leaked into this season. And then Valdez, I think, has become less of a character, but he was still committed to do through season 7, so he had to. Okay. So apparently, they've already signed with what's his name? Why can't I think of his name? The Flash, the main guy.
Grant Gustin.
He's already signed up for season 8, apparently. But then the rest of the cast is not officially signed on yet. So I'm hoping maybe that means they're like, hey, let's wrap it up. Let's say 8 is it.
Yeah, do that, please.
So,
Are you caught up at all on that?
I think I've only seen through episode 3 of this season, maybe 2 or 3. I only watched the first couple. So
All right.
I saw the one where Tom Cavanaugh, spoiler alert if you watch Flash or Care, where his character like sacrifices himself and all that.
What?
Is
I
that
think that was like
episode 2 or 3?
F3 or 4 or something like that.
That's about where I was, I think.
Okay. I'm like one up beyond that.
Has it gotten any better or no?
I'm only one past that situation, so no.
Pretty rough.
Nope.
Pretty rough going.
I'm sad because there was a time when we really liked that show. You know.
Yeah. I've been behind on all those shows because Legends came back last week. I haven't watched that yet. I've only watched the first 1 or 2 of Black Lightning. Like I don't know. Again, is this superhero fatigue? This is the same kind of thing we were talking about with Jupiter's Legacy. You got to shake it up. You got to show me something new. You got to be inventive, and these shows just aren't doing it anymore for me.
How about the Batman movie? Is that one going to do it for you?
I hope so. I really do.
Saw some pictures of Zoe Kravitz, very much looking like a standard cat burglar. So,
oh yeah,
I think
it was like video even, right? It was like a video interview thing where they kind of had montage stuff.
Yeah, so I think they're definitely leaning towards a very realistic, Batman, i.e. what Nolan did. This could actually happen. So, cool.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Maybe that should be our poll this week. This brings up a discussion I was having with someone.
Okay.
I personally feel like the Chris Evans Captain America trilogy is the best trilogy of superhero films ever made.
Okay.
So the only other one that I would give any credence to would be the Nolan Batman films. Those 3 films. I think they...
Sure.
Is there a better choice between those 2?
I mean, shitting all over Richard Pryor, but okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I have always been disappointed that the third Captain America movie was like kind of an Avengers hybrid,
True.
But I don't disagree with what you said. I actually love the first Captain America, which a lot of people don't. The first Avenger, they don't, as
so
much.
Should that be this week's poll? Should that be which is the better superhero trilogy film? Marvel's Captain America, DC's Batman, Nolan Batman. There you go. Put them head to head.
Get ready to vote, folks. This Thursday, get ready.
Maybe that's it. Maybe we just came up with it organically there. But I don't know. And if there's something else I'm overlooking, please, folks, let me know. But I can't think off the top of my head if there's a better trilogy out there. Because it ain't Thor.
No, it's not Thor. It's not Iron Man. It's not. Give us a couple of months and we'll see that other Ant-Man.
There you go. Maybe.
I don't know. Are the Mighty Ducks superheroes? No.
So, I don't know, maybe that's your poll.
Hot Wheels gave us a little bit of a spoiler. This happens like every single time we get a new superhero movie where the toys come out ahead of time, but it did have this Batmobile or whatever. Pretty basic Batmobile, nothing crazy about it. Looks pretty cool.
It looks like a Dodge Charger or something.
Essentially, yeah. And then they just add the big wings to it. Tom Welling, someone asked him about it, and he was like, how cool would it be? Because he and Pattinson are pals. If he just showed up in the movie. And Superman is somehow in that movie. Say it again?
Not even Superman, though, just as Clark.
Yeah. And the weird thing was, he said that wouldn't it be cool if it just showed up in uniform? I was like, wait a second, buddy. For 10 years, you're like, I refuse, no tights, no flights, but now you'll show up. But if he does show up as Clark Kent, that's phenomenal. Fantastic.
Why not? I'd love it.
The other releases, we were talking about things last week that got released, big press releases, DC fandoms happening, and people were talking about different projects coming up from DC, and one sentence that kind of got buried in there was "and the Joker sequel project."
Oh, okay. Didn't know that was officially happening.
Didn't either. So someone picked up on there, excuse us, did you just kind of glaze over that you are doing the Joker sequel? We'll see.
I don't want him to do a Joker sequel. I honestly have not revisited that film since I saw it in the theater either.
I did once because the wife wanted to watch it. I went by myself and then watched it with her, and I don't need to see it again. The only reason I would want you to give me another one is if you're connecting me to
fair enough. Fair enough.
But otherwise...
Or we truly see him get into being the Joker. Because the movie was really more of a lead-up to that.
Sure.
So maybe if you go that way, yeah.
That's it for DC. We're going to Marvel Minute.
Okay. Couple Marvel things. First, this is a big rumor. I'll start with the big rumor. Sacha Baron Cohen has been sighted in Australia dining out with the cast of Thor: Love and Thunder.
Okay.
So a lot of people are speculating now, is he going to be in there, maybe just as a cameo, whatnot, but maybe he'll be involved in the Thor Love and Thunder. That'd be cool. I'm down with it.
He might lead my list of the actors you've done a 180 on in their careers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Early on, I didn't give him a lot of credence. And now
When he was just the Borat guy?
Yeah, and he would do cheesy stuff at award shows, like he spilled that urn on Seacrest. I was like, I don't like this dude. But he's actually a really good actor and a very, very smart dude if you watch him like actual interviews. But
sure.
Cool.
That Netflix show that we watched with him on a Spy or whatever it was called, that turned me for him. I was like, wow, he's actually a good dramatic actor.
Nice.
All right, a couple other things. Anthony Mackie was giving an interview recently where he talked about he's in month 1 of his 4-month training process to become, not Fat Mackie, but Movie Mackie, as he called it. And people were like, well, what are you working on? Because Captain America 4 was just announced. So a lot of speculation now. Where is he going to show up? Is he going to show up in some other project before we see him in his own movie? And the early speculation is Black Panther. Black Panther Wakanda Forever is the next film that's supposed to be kind of starting production soon. Makes sense, especially with him getting the wings and all that from the Wakandans and the way the Dora Milaje, kind of mixed into the story there. So maybe that'll be where we see Mackie before he gets his solo film. See a little Captain America on screen again. And then this is kind of, like I said, more of a discussion point. But Disney Plus, I think internationally, not here in the U.S. yet, but they've moved Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Inhumans, the '05 Fantastic Four. They now have a section on there called Marvel Legacy or something. So basically saying this isn't canon, this is not part of the MCU. The only thing with that is there's persistent rumors all the time of characters coming back from these TV shows, these Marvel TV shows, and are they going to reintroduce them and keep the same characters? Because there's been a lot of talk about, especially Chloe Bennett, who played Quake on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that maybe they want to bring her into the MCU now and possibly be part of Secret Invasion or one of those things. So how do you do that? How do you balance that? And are they going to do a good job of it? Just like Charlie Cox coming back as Daredevil possibly in Spider-Man. We've heard that rumor quite a bit. So this is kind of a tightrope walk for them. Like, how do they do that? Because apparently they want to disregard whatever shows and whatever we've already seen them as, but we want to use the same actor and bring them back as the same character. So how are fans going to interpret that? You know what I mean?
The multiverse or the madness of the Doctor Strange movie. Maybe
that will kind of like fix all
reset some things.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I know that they've talked about, like I said, Charlie Cox, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, Punisher, Wilson Fisk, all those characters are supposedly coming back, and like I said, as well as Chloe Bennett from S.H.I.E.L.D. I know all those have been talked about. No Iron Fist or Luke Cage that I've heard of.
I want Luke Cage.
Yeah, I like Luke Cage too. I heard Jessica Jones is being rumored to come back in She-Hulk.
That'd be cool. So, I can see that.
I know a lot of people love Punisher. We never really got a lot of him.
Sure.
So, I mean, we like the actors who've played him. So it's just like, how do you do that? How do you because those movies and shows were kind of separated before and kind of disregarded what happened in the MCU. So could be interesting, and I hope that they don't fumble that up. Like, let's reintroduce this, but forget what you knew about him. It's the same, same actor, but now we're going to do a different thing. So I don't know, just interesting.
Yeah, then you'll get all those questions. Well, why weren't they helping on this day? Like, Peter Parker was getting his butt kicked. Where were you, Daredevil? Why didn't you? You'll get a lot of those type of questions.
Because I remember us talking about that when we watched the Marvel shows on Netflix. Like, well, why didn't they reference all the stuff going on in Endgame or things like that? Like, could have worked that into the shows.
Valid. True. Good.
All right.
Marvel good.
That was it. That's all I had.
Let's see. The only things I had, Andrew Garfield was peppered with questions, and first he says, "I will not in it. You're not going to see me." And then later comes and says, "Well, never say never for playing Spider-Man again. We'll see how things go." And then he did admit to having a burner account where he gets to read up on Spidey fans.
Okay.
So, all right.
He's still very well engaged. He'll be back.
Sure. Blade, they pushed back the production to 2022. They're not going to start doing that Blade until then. So
what did I do with that? Did I write that down?
Yeah.
I did, because they moved the production back, but also I was going to say the short list of directors is the same as what DC is looking at for their Superman. Like, same Regina King, Shaka King, all those people. So Marvel and DC are kind of approaching these projects the same way as far as what they want to do. keep it a black, authentic story, I guess,
Yeah, sure. Loki you mentioned in regular news, which I like that. The Loki on Wednesdays. That's cool. Just something a little different. Spice it up a little bit. And then the other thing I had was Guardians Part 3. Remember, we lost the director and we get different, there was a little hodgepodging in there. Is it going to happen? And Drax wasn't going to come back unless... the bottom line is the story has not changed. They had what story or what's going to happen, the plot of the Guardians. They've had that written since forever, which makes sense that they've had all this Phase 4 ready to go. But so anyone that thought all that hodgepodging together is going to change things, the same stuff's going to happen to the Guardians going forward, and then maybe introducing outer space stuff into that film. So don't fret. It's staying the course.
I think, and I'm kind of hoping that they're done with that next one, to be honest.
Same.
I'm okay with them moving on from Guardians after this. It was kind of one of those projects that shouldn't have worked, but it did, and you don't want them to overstay their welcome. So,
true. I'm in the minority as not loving Part 2, so I don't disagree with you there. Yeah. Here's what we can do. We can go forward and wrap up the show.
Yeah, going forward, I don't have a ton on my going forward this week. In the theaters, we will be seeing Spiral released this weekend, the Saw movie. I might have to try and go to the theater to see that. I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. Yeah, I may. So maybe let's chalk it down as a maybe for next week. If we feel frisky and maybe have the time, that might be a movie we venture to the theater to see. Which is weird. I wouldn't have thought I would say that. 2 movies in the last year are going to be Tenet and Spiral. Like what? As well as Those Who Wish Me Dead is getting a theatrical release, but it's also going to be available on HBO Max this weekend. So I will definitely be checking that out, HBO Max, and then we will have a review next week on that one. As well as the finally getting released Woman in the Window on Netflix. I can't believe it's finally coming out. Read that book 2 years ago thinking the movie was going to come out and it never did. I have a feeling I'm going to be very disappointed, but we'll have a review for that one next week as well. And then on Amazon Prime this weekend, there's a new show dropping called Underground Railroad, and I've been looking forward to that one. Yeah, you want to check that out.
Take Two Podcast Wise Guys on Thursdays. You're going to get the poll that's going to be dropped for you, so you can vote on that across the board. You kind of already got a hint of what it's going to be, so get ready to vote, get ready to share, get ready to tell all your friends all about it across all of our socials. Those socials, again, at Take Two Podcast for Twitter, Take Two Podcast at gmail.com for the email, 434-602-1931. You can text or leave a voicemail. We do encourage you to do both. While you're doing that, leave us a rating and review. It's been a minute since we got one. We would love a nice little 5-star rating and review. And this Sunday, Spotlight is back, baby. Your hint is this actor has been in both DC and Marvel, and he has also spent quite a few days sitting in a lighthouse with Batman.
Awesome. All awesome teases of that. Much better than I did in our last episode. Before we wrap up, I do want to mention something else, because I did watch something else this week. I didn't want to give a full review on it, but we had talked about it before, that the directors of Synchronic were doing Moon Knight for Marvel. Do you remember that when we had that news? And I said, well, to catch up with Synchronic. I caught up with Synchronic. And this is with Anthony Mackie and Jamie Dornan, and it's on Netflix now. Just hit Netflix last week. So I kind of watched it on a whim. It's not a fantastic movie. It's okay. It's an interesting premise of where you take this drug and it makes you time travel, but to the specific spot that you're in. So if I'm standing here and I take the drug, I go back to a certain time and I'm there. But then if I move over there and do it, it might be a different time, but now I'm in that place or whatever. So kind of an interesting angle. And after watching it, it's a decent movie. Check it out on Netflix. It's not bad. But I'm kind of now more pumped to see what they do with Moon Knight, these directors. So
nice.
So yeah, if you want a preview of that, check out the Synchronic on Netflix now.
Jamie Dornan, another actor who might have done a 180 on from 50 Shades to his Barb and starring.
Barb and Star, for sure, yes.
It's fantastic. I was like, oh, this dude, he's definitely not just that good-looking dude with abs. Nope, he can act.
He's like a low-key Chris Hemsworth, coming in with that Ghostbusters comedy, kind of thing.
Sure.
Maybe we'll see Dornan follow that same path.
For episode 239. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.